All right, everyone, if you can see parametric design, please raise your hands. Excellent. Everybody sees the parametric design. We're good. Okay, reminder, we have lab tomorrow. For those that meet on Thursdays normally, we have because of the holiday, and holiday at Latin had a big part of it. Plus, we also ended up getting some other things squared away at my school. So Tuesday we're going to have it, and we'll see you then. We're going to be working on our LED desk lamps. Okay? Let me see if there's any questions. I'm going to slide that out, and then I want to get going. A lot to do. Okay, no questions. Great. Just as a real show of hands, who has everybody tried the Raspberry Pi at home? Raise your hand if you've tried the Raspberry Pi at home. Okay, it's really important. I don't have everybody raising their hands, so that makes me a little bit nervous. I'm going to put everybody's hands down. Who does not have a Raspberry Pi? Maybe you missed lab or something. All right, Catherine, we got to make sure that we get you a Raspberry Pi when you're in lab. You've got to remind me because you're one of very few that doesn't have one. All right. Now, as always, we record this and they'll be loaded on a list on the Young Engineers of Today list. And I know you worked with Time to Toy and some more Inkscape. I am too, and I'm going to talk to you about press fit, because press fit construction is something you do a lot with the laser cutter. You can make cool things like this box is all press fit. The skull right here is press fit. This really neat spaceship, press fit. All of them. Kind of cool things. Key in press fit though is, and this is where we're getting into parametric design. You want to be able to push things so they're close. They've got, it's a kind of a fine tolerance. You want to be able to press it in. So it's got to be a big enough wide opening that you can push your member in, parts of the spaceship in, but not so much they'll loose that they fall apart. And so, right here, this plate right here, the thickness between these things, this rocket, all are press fit. There's a tolerance. On cardboard, it's about 0.13 inches. You make it then, most of the cardboard we use will work well. But here's the problem. What happens if you change from plywood to, say, 1/4 inch wood? Well, you can't, and say, here's the slot you've made with your cardboard. This is a slot that if I press it into a piece of cardboard, this slot will fit in such a way that I'll get a tight fit, but it'll work. But what happens if I want to go with plywood, 0.25 plywood? Oh Lord, that's a problem, because now the whole piece, if I make this go from 0.13 to 1/4 inch, the whole piece gets bigger. So that means I have to go right through the whole thing, which is really pretty tough. All right. So I'm just going to show you an example of what parametric design does today. I want you to go through and do it, plus review a little bit on setting up a page, because this is a really good, useful thing when you're using laser cutters and for you to understand what parametric design is. Okay? So I need everybody, go ahead and let's set up Inkscape. All right? And what we're going to do is let's go pull up Inkscape. I'm going to do a new one. This is last week, if you remembered. Remember, when I ever use Inkscape with our, especially in this class because we use it so much with laser cutter, we're going to set the document properties to inches. That's up there, says pixels. This says millimeters. Make sure those are both inches right there. And we're going to make this case 30 by 20, because that's often the size of our laser cutter at the Fab Lab. So please, everybody open up Inkscape. Go ahead and do that. Raise your hand when you've done it. All right, we got one person done. Go ahead. I blame you for this. It is fair, but no, but I blame you. Okay, what? Like, Kevin, let's stay on topic here, bud. Let's get this done. Once you have it, then we'll be set to go. All right, well, just get up here, turn on Inkscape, set it to inches, up here, inches, 30 by 20. We practice this now online. When you come in the lab and you want to cut something with a laser cutter and you automatically start doing these things, that's a lot faster than reteaching. All right, Lillian, let me know. Catherine Graham, let me know. Reese, raise your hand once you've done this. Leave the hands up. This is my way of knowing. When I'm in the lab with you, I can look at your eyes and know if you're caught up. I can look at your project bill. Everybody leave their hands up. I just want to see who we have. All right. Good. Now it's done. Everybody's saying it's done. We're good. I'm going to put everybody's hands down. We got 80% of us, so we got it. So now we have it. We're just going to get rid of this X. Now I'm going to show you. I'm going to make a box. Here's a red box. I got a blue outline on the outside edge of this. And I can always change the properties of this. I go to fill stroke. All right, so let's go to fill this. Make it no fill. I just have a blue line on the outside. And I'd make this. I can actually, honestly, I can make it other colors. But I'm going to make a red just for the sake of that's what we've been doing as kind of a standard. Though when you do color mapping, you can do any color you want. I'm also going to have, just so you can see it, I'm going to add a fill to this. And I'm going to make the fill black. Now, in reality, you wouldn't be able to cut this out with a laser cutter. Why is that? Taking a look at this, what does the setting need to be? Oh, just go back here. You asked how to change it in inches, Natalia. You go up to File, Document Properties, and there's your units. Okay? Do you see that, everyone? So, sorry, I should have showed that to you. I apologize, Natalia. All right, now, I've got my thickness a little bit wider just so you can see the difference. You would think, what value, write it in as a question, what value does that stroke paint need to be for a laser cutter? Does anybody remember this? Might have showed you at the lab, or you might have had it in the 6th grade with us. No one's got a raised hand that knows? Well, that value, normally, if you're going to cut it with a laser cutter, needs to be 0.001. 0.001. I've got 0.1 just so we can see it. Just want to make that 0.2. Now, I want to show you a couple different things here. We're going to talk about copy, duplicate, and then clone. Say, I was going to take this box. All right? And I want to copy it. Well, that's just the way you think about it. You just copy, edit, and click over here somewhere. Hit edit, paste. And it's over here somewhere and it goes. That's a paste. Okay? That is not the same thing as duplicate, which at first you think it would be. If I go to take this object, I hit edit, duplicate, it looks like you didn't do anything and you're about to be frustrated. But if I move this over here, I can see, here's my duplicate box. Now, at first glance, no big difference between cut, duplicate, and clone. It really doesn't seem like there's a big difference. But there is a really fundamental difference. In Inkscape, remember we said it's made up of paths? All right? And then paths make up objects. This is a rectangle. When I click on this rectangle, say right here. It tells you the width, the height, and gives us the corners, so we can change the corners. And remember, we can bend this corner in, bend the corner out. So it takes some information. When you draw that, it looks like a rectangle, but you're really inserting a piece of code there that says make a rectangle. When I just draw a path, so that's a rectangle, and that's an object right here is a cube. Looks like something like this. I'll just draw it out, you see, right? I'm going to undo that in a minute right now. That's a 3D box. And then I have a circle, you know, and stars. Those are all objects. Well, I'll tell you another object is a path, and paths make up those objects. You have paths with nodes. This all sounds confusing, so let's just go through it. We copied and duplicate. We did a copy and paste. We're talking about duplication now, and to understand the difference between copy and paste and duplication, we got to understand what an object is and what paths are. Paths make up objects. And most of the times, not a really big difference, right? But sometimes it's a huge difference. When you want to do some things, sometimes you're going to want to make sure that these become paths again, that they're not a rectangle. And duplicating something is one of the things it does is it's identical to this object. This rectangular, when they're all still all rectangle objects, when you duplicate it, it's absolutely identical. When you copy paste it, there's a slight change in it. It is not identical. It's close, wow, really close, but not identical. And later, when we go into cutting a tab box or something, it has to be identical. And oh, by the way, we need to convert it later, so these are all nothing but paths. And we're going to get to that down the road. Don't fret. Okay? Does it? All right. So, here's the original. There's a duplicate. There's a paste. Which one, if this is number 1 and this is number 2, right on there is a question. Raise your hand. If this is number 1 and this is number 2, which is most closely like the original? This one's a duplicate, this is a paste. 1 or 2? Go ahead and start answer your questions there. Write it back to me as a question. Tell me if you put 1 or 2. All right, everybody who just said 1 is correct. The duplicate, number 1, is more like the original than number 2, which is a paste. Okay. Now we're going to introduce, so we've talked about cut and paste, duplicating it, and then a third one. Say if I edit this, go back to edit, and I clone this. So I'm going to create a clone. I'll create a clone. I'm going to move this over here. Now, so here's my duplicate, my cut and paste, and my clone. Duplicate, cut and paste, and my clone. Watch what happens when I do this. Over here. Look at what my clone does. It's now the same size. My duplicate didn't change. When I copy and paste it, did not change. That's a significant difference in Inkscape. This fact we use in parametric design. All right? So I can shrink this and shrinks here. Then put it over here. Watch this. I'll do this. I want to check one thing out here real quick. All right, I'm going to do this. All right. Now, we're going to show you later, that's how we can do cut paths and unions. You can't do, if you make a clone of it, you can't really do that, which is a bit frustrating. So you got to make sure it's straight. I wanted to test this earlier today. All right. So there's a reason I paused it. We're going to come back to that's going to make more mistakes, make more sense. So here's what I want you to do. All right. Let's go ahead. We'll get rid of the fill and so on. We are going to make slots. Let me show you what I'm looking at doing. Where's my Chrome here? So that's what you use to create a clone with. And what we're going to do is, and we just showed here that if I change this, all the clones will be different. And that's what I did with that little bit of link. So what we're going to do now is, see this rectangle right here? We're going to put the clones in there for it. And we're going to cut it out. And now watch what I mean by that. And then, if we want to change the thickness of this, we'll be able to. And you're going to see here in a minute as we play with this. So here I'm going to go back up here. My Inkscape. And we'll post these a little bit later in the week. Once we get through the Inkscape tutorial, we'll put up all these presentation slides. All right, so let me go back to my Inkscape. And I'll do this. This is what I want you all to do here. And we're going to try doing an exercise in parametric design. So, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these right now. Just deleted them. Move this over a little bit more. So, I'm going to make a rectangle. I'm going to make said rectangle this big right here. That is, it's a width. I'm going to make it this, I'm going to make it a height of 0.5, width, excuse me, of 0.13, Tom, and a height of 0.5. Let's try that again. Someone. Oh, part of it, I've got to make my stroke. We'll make this bigger because right now the stroke on this is too small. Just so we can all see it. I'm going to make this bad boy a width of 0.5 and a height of 2.5. Can you all do that for me? Go ahead, make a block, make it a width. Let me go back to block properties so you can see this. A 0.1, height of 2.5. And we can even, so it's, all you're going to see is red because the outer edge of this is so small. If I make this 0.001 like you do in a laser cutter, you'd see it looks real thin there. I'm going to put it back to 0.1. All right. Raise your hand once you have it like that. We'll wait for everybody to get there. Okay, great. Now I'm going to make a clone of this. So I've got this selected. I do edit, clone. This time I make tile clones, so I'm going to make more than one of them at a time. So I'll go over here. It says clones. Let's get rid of this. If you're filling stroke up, it'll do that. Here's clones. Okay, let me see if I move this over here so you can all see it. All right, there we go. So it says 2 clones, 2 by 2. We hit create. Now, a little confusing on this is they've made them right on top of each other, so you need to move the whole things over. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Your original's right here, and it's important to remember which original it is, if I've remembered properly, because when I turn this one, they all go bigger. That's the power of using parametric design. I only have to change one thing. So these are all clones. They're not duplicates. They're not cut and paste. There they are. So I can move them across here. Suddenly I'm making members. There we go. What's great is all I have to do is change the key, change the original, and all my clones change too. That's really a powerful tool in drawing and engineering, is the idea of parametric design. In Fusion 360 and some of the other ones, it takes it natural where you start naming variables. You don't draw something, you mathematically describe everything. Okay, I'm putting everybody's hands down. When you've done that a couple times, let me know. Raise your hand once you've gotten the clone working, so you got a parametric change. And then ask me questions. If you didn't get it work right, we'll do it again. It's 7:22 now. At 70, I'll give you, let's give you 3 or 4 minutes to try this. All right, raise your hand once you have it, guys. And everybody's played with it. So that is one thing you can do to clone. And you can use rectangles to clone it. It works pretty well. Let me try something I have not done. While you do that, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try to draw a node. Let me see something here. I'll try that a little bit later. Add a path. Now, one thing you should know about this, you can even do something like this, where you can put these all in another box and clone that box. So I can do things like this. Now I'm going to play with this a little bit, and sometimes it gets a little funky. Funky, funky monkey. All right, so I'm going to take this. I'm going to flip it this way. I'm going to take this one, flip it this way. Over that way, this way. Now, and I may even need to flip this one upside down. We'll see how it goes. Right? But what this will allow you to do is let me go out here. I'm going to go to my view icons. Remember, you're not going to be able to see it real well necessarily, but over here in the video you won't be able to see it. Right here are my different ways I can look at things. So I've got this square up here. All right. Now, if I draw a box here, I'm going to draw a box. I'm going to have to get rid of the fill, though, because it's blanking up everything we just did. So I'll go to Object Properties. While you're doing that, let me go ahead and play with this a little bit. That's a Corel move, sorry. Corel, that's how I do that in Corel. Let's go to Fill. All right, so there it is. All right, let me come back and see how many people have gotten these all changed. Oh, it looks like just about, got a few who haven't, but most everybody has. Great. Now, if you get rid of the fill, so just the outer edges in your box like this, you can actually start cloning these things. So I can go to here, I can take this box, remember that line transformation we did last week, and I click on this box out here, I can do this. Object, line distribute. Let's go over here. Sometimes, for me to do the webinar, you can always see it. All right, here we go. There's a line distribute, last selected. Well, I selected the big box, so I took this one. I said, well, put it on the bottom of that one. And then last selected this. I'm going to put that one over here. Now I'm going to put this one. See how I'm doing that? Just like we talked about in class. It's lined right up. And then I'll center some of these in a minute. Okay. Let's do this. Selected. There it is. And then I'm going to take this one, center that on the box. Same thing here. Centering it on the box. Wait a minute. No, yeah, I should do it. Nope. Wrong one. Edit. Line. There it goes. Centered up there. These. All right. Now, watch what happens here. If I take this one, change it in here, they all change there. This one, these aren't quite working right. So when that happens, sometimes it's not truly centered, so you have to play with these a little bit. So if you go to do that, let's try it now. That might now be out of order because of what I've done. These are good right here. This one's a little bit out of order because I messed it up. And in case you're wondering, you can duplicate this box and make a bigger box. So I can clone these. No, let's see how let's see. Let me do this again. For the sake, that looked good. Let me see which ones are messing up here. We'll play with this a little bit. The only way I know is just see this one's up and this one's down. So let's edit undo that. All right. There it is right there. Let's take this one. Sometimes you have to flip them. And honestly, it's like trial and error sometimes. All right, now let's try that one. See how those are now flipping along each other the same line? Watch. These two are good. These are still, I think, a little off. Let me go ahead and pull it out here. See how these are lining up, but these are just off. So, line this one up here right like this. Let's see what happens. Okay. Now, that may not be perfect, but we'll do for what we do it. I can take this. Let me go back and look at my whole page. All right, so we got everybody over here. All right, great. So everybody's got their set up. You've changed this. You can change them. If you attach them inside a square like I'm doing right now, and then I go under my view. Let me bring it over here. We get the whole page. Well, that's too close. All right, here's the whole page, right? This is a pretty big box. I can clone these. So I can literally select this whole thing. I can do, let me over here show you. I can go up to I'm going over here just so you can all see it. I'm going to go up to Object, and I am going to, excuse me, now Object, Edit, apologize, and I'm going to make a create tile clone of this thing now. All right. And when I did that, I'll bring it over my screen. I get something that says 222 and I create it. I hit create, and hopefully it did it. I'll go back over here so I can see it. Let's see if it created it. May not have. Let's see. Nope. Because I would expect to see two more. So let's try it again. I'll tell you what, I'm going to scale. See if it'll let me. I'm going to scale this down and then scale the box down. All right, it's much smaller. See how they all scale down at once? I'm going to make the box small. No, I'm not, because let me do this. All right, there we go. I'm going to leave it there because I'd have to refit those all in. I want to get on to the next laser cut in a moment. So these are all right here on this. Let me go ahead and edit, undo, move, and scale. Get back up to this so it's easier to see. So I'm going to try to duplicate this one more time. Hopefully I can get it to show you all can see on the screen. There we go. So Object. All right, then go Edit, Edit, Clone, Create Tile Clone. Make sure we hit Create. I created it. And of course, oh, wait a minute. Here, wait a minute. Let's go and do that again, please. My Inkscape is at a crawl. All right, let's do this. Grab that. One more time. Grab that whole thing. Group it. Let's try it one more time here. See why it's not doing that. Duplicate. Clone. Create a tile clone. 2 by 2 by 2. Create it. There they are. Now I got 2 by 2 by 2. And there's actually one sitting on top of the clone, which I'm going to move out of the way in a moment. So I'm going to go out here. This should show me everything. All right, so there's my clones. I'm going to hit the minus sign so I can see this a little bit better. All right, I have this clone right here. I have these 4 clones. I'm going to grab these right here. I needed to group them before I did it the first time. Hopefully I can get the original back. There's my original. Check this out now. So imagine this is my key. If I take this one now, watch what happens. They all get bigger. Now you clearly you got to allow some more extra space so you all fit in there. And then you can change it here. So you can change this depending on the materials and whatever you want to do. Instead of having to change each one individually, you can do that. All right, there had to be some questions there. That was a lot to cover. Okay, let's hear some questions. Is this a new feature? Is this a new feature of... No, you just don't always show. Where's the clone button? Remember, we're going to go over edit clone. Now let's do it all together, folks. See if we can do it. If you've been following me and you can do it, raise your hand. But what I'm trying to say is once you group anything, you can make them clones. So let's do this. We got some people have done it. Let's do this again. And this is a fundamental design of parametric design. This allows me to do it. In Fusion 360, I can make it a variable. I can make the what you're going to clone call length, the parametric designs, excuse me, I can design variable names to it. So I can, just by changing the values of some variables, make a bookshelf that's either 6 inches tall or 60 inches tall. This is an important concept because we want to be as efficient as possible. We don't have to keep doing it. So here I'm going to do it one more time. Here's my group. I'll do File, New. When I do New, I'm going to go File, Document Properties. I'm going to go a little bit quicker just so you can see it. Go to inches again. Inches again. I'm going to make it 30 by 20. Hit X. All right, so I can see this. All right. I'm purposely using some colors you might not use all the time, but I'm using it for this. I go over into my box, right over here. Boom. There's a red square right there. Let me make it a little bit smaller. Right there. Boom. And if I want, I can even make it a slide anymore. So I'm going to make it this size, right like this. And I can go up here and set the values right up here. Change this to 0.75. That's my thickness. And my height is going to be 2. So it is. So there's one. I can take that. So everybody draw a rectangle again. All right. Then go to Edit. Because it's a complete run and create tile clones. In this case, we're just doing 4. You can make it 8 by 8, whatever. You can put space in between things. Let's just hit create. There they are. Remember, your original sits on the bottom. So it can be a little bit confusing on these clones. I'm going to put these little guys a little bit farther apart just so we can demonstrate how this all ends up working. Here, here, here. And if you want to any down at all, they're clones, just grab this one and they all change. And then you can sit there and group these. Get another box. When you play with the symmetry, sometimes you have to flip things, clone around them because the way they scale. But for right now, we will just go to get you to show you example of this. You click here, group it, and then hit Edit, Clone, same thing. We're going to create 4 of those. Create it, boom. You'll see them down there. And just like the other clone we did, you can't, sadly, move one over here, move this one over here. Here. There. Another key. If I take this one, do that, they all change. They all change that way. This is the power of cloning. That was a lot. I went kind of quick, showed it twice, but it is quick. It might be a little confusing. Let me do a quick couple polls, see what people, how's my pacing right now? All right, 83% voted. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Closing the poll. Sharing the results. Interesting. 64% said, hey, good. 27 fast. 9% slow. I'll try to slow it down a little bit. I'll keep slowing over, making sure everybody has it. I don't want you lost. If you're a little bit slow, that's not the end of the world. Okay? But this is called parametric design. When you get taught this in either high school or college or other places, perk up. This can save you a ton of work. Would you want to have to keep redrawing these clones if someone comes in and says change the size? Oh, I really love these rectangles. I wish they were a half an inch shorter. They're not as tall. They won't fit in the window of my house where I want to put them. That's what this does for you. Parametric design allows you to just change one thing, i.e. this one, and they all change. And remember, we talked about 3 different things. If I hit copy and paste, that will work. A lot of times it's fine. But it does, when you paste it, it inserts some more code into this. The code that makes that rectangle inserts it. And when we go to do cutting a slot tab box, that can be a real problem. Might be one example, for example. Then you can duplicate. It's purely identical, but when you duplicate, it doesn't change. So if I take this and I do edit, duplicate, just like, all right, cloning it. But watch, when I change this one, that duplicate does not change. We do use duplicates quite a bit when we want to make tab boxes and add some things. So we're going to go into that in just a minute here. Or when you want to draw something. Okay? Okay? Yeah, there's a lot of steps in this, and this is how we go from a power user, how Inkscape from a basic user to more of a power user. So if you're drawing something artistic and you want to be able to change the sizes, change the size of the original, and everything else changes, use clone. If you want to keep the original one size and things you're going to change afterwards, probably duplicate is the way to go. All right? All right, now, let's go to, we've got that. Let me show you the next thing we're going to work on. I'll work with you on. And that is this idea. Let's go File, New. Let's, again, I like doing it so you just keep practicing. Because when you're in the lab and you want to create something, remember, you go File, New, Document Properties, Inches, Inches, 30 by 20. Because that's the size laser we're using. If the laser was smaller window, then you would use something else. All right, I'm going to pull this over here more for us so we can see it. Okay, now I'm going to go up here. Here's a cool thing you can do. A little bit of a problem we can have. I'm going to show you this now. We'll come back to it. Mr. DeToy is going to work with something else next week, but I'm going to show you this. So, or next time you see him, but I'm going to show you, tend to show you this. All right, so here's a rectangle, right? Let's go back to another rectangle. Say I want to make something on the laser cutter, and I think, well, you know what I'm really doing? I really just want this box to be made up. I'll change the scale a little bit. I need this on my box. I need to cut my box so it's right like this. I need something shaped like this. All right? Maybe I'm going to have a Raspberry Pi here and an accessory board to the side, and I need to support it. There's going to be screws here. So here we are. There it is. If I go to cut this with my laser cutter and I had the thickness on this correct, what would happen is we could do this square and this next square. We don't want that. And that's evidence if I do this. If I click on this, you see how they're separate? So how can I combine them? This is an important thing on a laser cutter, and it's sometimes important when you want to draw things. So let me show you what you do. Let's just get to this part today. See if we can get everybody to this, because we only have about 8 minutes. Remember I said this is an object? This is a rectangle object, and so is this one. What we're going to do, we're going to take them separately, go, take that object, turn it into a path. And now watch when you do that. When I click on this now, see the 4 corners? If I click on this one, there's 2 in this. Doesn't look the same, does it? I don't know if you can see that close enough. Let me see if I can zoom that in a little bit better for you. All right. See the 4 corners? These are nodes. Remember where they and paths work together. When I click here, though, I only see 3 of them. They're different. All right. Now watch this. If I see how you see the corners of this, just like that. Okay. Now watch what happens when I convert this into a path. Select this. Oh, object on path. Object to path. Now when I check on this again, there's 4 of them. Doesn't seem like a big deal. By itself of the drawing, it's not. But it does allow us to change this. Oh, I'm sorry, the poll results. Sorry. Thank you, guys. All right, great. All right. So here you go. Let me show everybody again because I just blew it. If I have a rectangle, if I draw a rectangle, I draw it here. If I show this, it's still a rectangle. You see how there's these 3 corners because it's showing you where our X and our Y is. But if I go into node editing, you only see 3 things there as well. Whereas if I convert these rectangle object into a path object, there's actually 4. And I can actually do things like add more nodes. If I want to, I could put one right, I can start adding them and doing things there. I don't want to run out of time, so I don't really want to jump in that. And the reason I'm real interested in this is on this square, say there's a shape. A lot of shapes are made of combination shapes. And it's this big. And I want to have something. Say I want this box and this box. This fits a Raspberry Pi. Your Raspberry Pi, fine. And I've got this side panel on it. I'm making a case for my Raspberry Pi. If I cut this as it is right now, the laser cut or a 3D printer is going to go side, side, side. All right, let's go. Sorry about that. I don't really want that. All right. Okay, then, so if I cut that with a laser cutter, it would cut this box and this box. But if I wanted to combine the 2 of them, I take my rectangle, just in case you didn't see it before, I go object to path, which will change this now. When I click on this now, there's 4 corners. It's now a path object, what we want. Because here's the coolest thing about a path object. If I combine this one here, I select them both. I don't group them yet. I just select them both. And then I do path union. Now I have the piece I want. Pretty sweet. Same thing if I go do this, take another rectangle, convert it to an object, make it, object to path, put it here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to stick it right in there a little bit. Grab both of them, This time I go to path and say, I think I'll go to difference. It'll cut it out. It will really, now your laser cutter cuts. So these are both. This is union and this is cut. It's really powerful. Let me show you one more time the issue. Take a rectangle. We draw it out. It is a rectangle. You see 3 points there. Take another rectangle. Or a circle for that. It could be a circle. Do a circle. Same idea. I want to combine the two. If I put this in here now, what would happen? Laser cutter would cut out this, if the line thickness was proper, and then this. That's not what I want. I want this to be part of that one. So I take them both apart and convert that to path, object to path. Take this one, object to path. Now I take them together. Grab this like this and do union. And there it is. Looks like the back wheel of a trailer hitch or something. Can everybody try that? And then for extra, try to get it to cut a hole. So in other words, if you took another rectangle, put it here, and then this circle right like this, can you get this? I won't do it now. I'll wait to see if you can figure it out, and then we'll do it. Can you get this to cut a hole, circular hole inside that rectangle? Put everybody's hands down. When you can do these two things, raise your hand. Raise your hand if you got to do it. We have a couple more minutes. I'm glad to show everybody one more time. No, well, go ahead and drop it in. There is. You can do some transparency things on it. But let's work on this, Cadman. So Ashton's gotten it. Well done. This way, when we work on our desk lamps, I'm trying to show you different ways we might cut our material or add inserts or something in your drawing. And don't worry, we will. Good job. Once you've got it, if you didn't, it's not the end of the world. We will come back and show you again. But here's what I would do. I would make that an object. It's a path. I'd make it an object, a path object. It was a rectangle object. This is a circular object. I'm going to change that, convert it to path. Then grab it like this, go to path, and go difference. And there you are. So it's a way you could almost make puzzle pieces out of it. See how that is? What's great is your laser cutter will immediately cut it all up just the way you want it. If it was set to 0.001. All right. That's what I wanted to get done today. You're going to come back. Mr. Toy's going to talk to you about some of this other. Finish up and get into the 3D printer or how we use it with SVG. So just wanted to share that with you. I hope you're doing well. Remember, Thursday lab people, we have a lab Tuesday tomorrow. Everybody have a great one. Oh, let me do quick before you hang up. Quick. I'm sorry. Don't hang up yet. How'd you enjoy this webinar? Believe me, you're going to use this if you use the laser cutter a lot. 36, 45. Let's quick vote. We got a couple of these to vote. Oh, most people thought it was just okay. Well, we won't be doing a lot more Inkscapes. Don't worry. I'm at 73%. Let's go, folks, so people can get going. All right. 82% voted. 4, 3, 2, 1. Share results. Hey, 22, 78 said it was okay. I get it. Well, I think you may find it useful down the road, but we will see, and I will change it. Did you come to the last webinar? It would have been last Wednesday. All right. 73% vote. Let's everybody vote. All the webinars are on. Make sure you've signed up for the playlist. And every time they get posted, when I post this later tonight, you'll be set. 73% voted. Come on, folks. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close the poll. There it is, 73%. Okay. Then, last thing, because I do like feedback. Let me see here. We won't worry about the lab. We're set. All right. Everybody, have a great night. Take care. Bye-bye.